The wife of disgraced cricketer David Warner blames herself over her husband's involvement in the ball tampering scandal.
It comes after South African fans wore Sonny Bill Williams masks during the second test, referencing Candice's infamous encounter with the footballer in 2007. And we're joined by our Sunday jury, Nine Honey's Shelley Horton and author Peter Fitzsimons. So look, I think perhaps start with Shelley and your response to that press conference yesterday and seeing Candice there.
Yeah, my heart goes out to Candice, and I hate that she was drawn into the sledging. I think we need to actually have an inquiry into somehow banning sledging in sport, because as we have proven, we just had the Kellys on, words do wound and we need to be kinder. So I think there's all of that. But as someone who doesn't watch cricket, I think this is so blown out of proportion, and I'm shocked that we're now up to day 8 of it leading our news. I think that there are a lot of people who are sport obsessed, but they're being obsessed about the wrong things. I mean, we've had Greg Bird from Rugby League who glassed his girlfriend in the face. We had Nick Stevens beat his partner and threatened to kill her. Where were the
Matt
7
Lodge?
days of Matt Lodge? Where were the 7 days of outrage over that? So if you want to say that we're a sporting nation and we're disappointed in our players because they've cheated, I think it's disappointing that you get this much attention for damaging a ball but less attention for damaging a woman's face.
It is very interesting, if I may say, to hear you say that, because yours is a completely rational, normal, logical response, and I accept every word you say, and I can't disagree with the word. No, it's completely rational. It's so nice to have you instead of Prue. But, but I can't help. I grew up on cricket, and so I have this visceral, spiritual something that comes out of me. So when I saw that this time last week, you know, I was raised on cricket. I sat watching it with my dad, and we went to the Sydney Cricket Ground Hill, and I was raised on the gentlemanly game and play the game and all that sort of stuff. So when you see that, me and maybe half, maybe 60% of Australia just looks at it and says, no, 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 no. And it's in terms of proportion, no doubt our response is out of proportion, but it's there and it's real. But with Candice, who I really like, who I work with on Sports Sunday, I'll say the obvious mistake. Roxy Jacinko, fine woman, fine PR operator, all the way. I won't say a word against it, none of my business. But in a thing like that, where Steve Smith turned it around and where Cameron Bancroft turned it around, they went on air, they opened a vein and they let it bleed. You know, in terms of, I mean, their pain, I don't mean self-harm. I mean, I mean in the sense of they just let out their pain. There was no sense of PR, there was no sense of spin. So in that David Warner press conference, even though Roxy just, to have her there to sit next to Candice, just the messages that went out were wrong.
It was a bad look.
The only thing I also say there is we are also so applying here rational, how they should have done it, how they shouldn't have done it. Those two are in the middle of a furnace at the moment. Every time, you know, the doorbell rings, the phone rings, the texts and emails going off, half the time it's me. But you know, so what they have been through is extraordinary. So if they're making the wrong call here and there, you can understand it.
Do you think, Peter, if David Warner had said, look, you know, the reason I did it is because these guys were ragging on my wife, wearing the mask and stuff, and I was so mad at South Africa, I wanted to win at all costs. If he'd said that, would we as Australians go, you know, you sold someone's missus, that's fair enough? Again, applying rationally, I think that would have been a very good start. Those who are criticising him, saying he should have named and shamed others, that he should have said this has been going on for 5 years, 3 months and 4 days.
And the other, kind of almost say that, you know, by not answering those questions, and maybe I'm taking the wrong message out of this. The fact that he took questions, we all know the two things we all wanted to know. Who else was involved and have you done it before? And by not answering, he was kind of implying there were others.
But we can't Australians don't rat people
she is your rational correspondent, I am your irrational correspondent. So what I may say, I don't back up with logic or rationale, I'm just telling you the way I feel. Australians don't dob. We don't do that, okay?
We don't.
I'm telling you.
Isn't he dobbing by taking questions?
It's like saying no comment. It's showing that guilt. It's ridiculous.
But the truth of it is, if he were to say, this guy, that guy, this guy and that guy, and he gives us 4 names and he gives us date, the end. He's got busted, he's got caught, he's got to put his chin out and take it on the chin, he's got to do his time, he's got to come back. But I totally take Brendan's point. If somebody was attacking my wife, and they occasionally do, I can't think straight.
Yeah.
You cannot think
But
straight.
don't you need to learn to control that, because that's about being an adult?
Yes, OK, but there's another point here. Brendan and I are roughly the same age, and we both held a cricket bat. And if we were in the face of a Pakistani bowler putting balls past our ears at 160 kilometres an hour, we would both do the sensible thing. We would wilt and say, you win, I'm going home. That's what sensible men do. Warner's not like that. He's a gritty mongrel and he's a fighter. And the thing that makes him prosper in that furnace, you know, to dominate Test cricket around balls whizzing, it's gritty and it's nasty. And that side of him we love because he pulled a century. The other side, we're not so crazy about.
Well, I think the one thing we do know is that everyone that we've heard from is hurting. So we've got to go.
Thank you, Pete.
Thank you, jury. Coming up, see how Aussie animators brought the new Peter Rabbit movie to life. That's next.